Today is with assets and arbitrage, Simon Family Investment Ventures. I'm sorry I didn't get to shoot this week. Doing the best I can to keep up with this and make sure that I try to shoot for you guys every Tuesday and Thursday around 5-ish. So latest news, Bitcoin is a little over 106,000. So that's wonderful. It's going back up. It has 104,000. I think that we did like in December. So I think now we're trying to shoot past the 100. Hi, BK Crypto. Hey, cousin. Stay stacking, stay stacking, stay stacking. Normally when we say stay stacking, I'm talking about Satoshi. Actually, BK Crypto, I've been doing the shows. I want to say since April. So I started back in April. I just needed a little bit of time to decompress after Simon. But stay stacking, stay stacking, stay stacking. When I say that now, it's going to be a little bit more than just stacking. She's stacking ounces, stacking whatever altcoins you're investing in. I'm also going to tell you to make sure that you're stacking extra groceries, extra medication, anything you think your house may need in case, something stupid happens. So that Trump and China came to an amicable compromise, but you can see out of when got whatever little drama that they have going on, you are the collateral damage. So you always want to be in a position of government and just make sure that you're stacking the things that your households need should something really stupid happen. You guys should be seeing the ports filling back up with shipping containers and stuff here very soon. However, that compromise, I believe, is only for 90 days. So we're not really sure what's going to happen after those 90 days. I have a few little things that I wanted to share with you because I'm using my iPad. Unfortunately, I can't share the article with you. This is from Yahoo Finance. I thought it was an interesting article. It says Uncle Sam's biggest creditor faces a fiscal crisis worse than Greece as its borrowing cost hits a 20-year high. So for those of you who don't know, Japan is the single largest foreign financier of the U.S. federal government. They have their own mountain of debt, and their economy is beginning to shrink. Why is this important? Because again, it is the single largest foreign financier of the United States federal government. So if they're having trouble, that's obviously not a source or a stream of income that the U.S. government can tap into. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. I'm not gonna read the whole article to you. I just think it's good for you to realize that the allies and the avenues that the United States uses for their economy, you can see that those avenues are shrinking. Those streams of income that they're used to getting shrinking. Besides the fact that the U.S. government just prints money. For those of you who are looking at the economy, looking at the future of the economy and where it wants to go, understanding that our future is now tech-based. We are in the age of Aquarius. Aquarians are inclined to technology, so it is known as a technological age. It is the rise of artificial intelligence. I thought I would give you access to some information that may be either relevant to you or may benefit you. So they have this thing called Stack Skills EDU. And for just $20, you have a lifetime access to over 1,000 online courses. I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that, but if you were looking for an inexpensive way to learn new skill sets, IT, coding, graphic design, business strategy, marketing, how to start a business, any of those channels, that is a great. Hey, how you doing, E? Thank you so much for joining. I thought it would be a good kind of maybe asset to have in your back pocket. For those of you who are trying to build businesses, have side hustles, anything like that, I thought that that would have been just for $20, you get lifetime access to that course. So I wanted to share that with you. You're going to be noticing going out, I'm not coming away from geopolitical environments. I'm not coming away from finance and economics. I think what I am compelled to, though, is to share with you some of the real focus that you to focus on that you have control over. Right? I have control over the geopolitical landscape. We don't have control over America printing $21 trillion a quarter. I think it's a quarter. There's a lot of things that we don't have control over. We just need to do what we can do strategically in order to offset the impact of the things we don't have control over. But I am going to spend a significant amount of time. I won't take up too much of your time talking to you about the things you can control. That is your actual journey. If you are on top of your actual spirit, the thing you came to earth to do, you don't have to worry about the money so much. You don't have to worry about the local environment so much. You don't have to worry about, you can be aware of it and put yourself in a position to where you have the least amount of negative impact, but you're not controlled by the fear baiting. You're not controlled by the anxiety. You're not controlled by the fact that you have no control over these things. So I don't want you to feel like I'm changing the show up or anything, especially with the loss of Simon. But I do want you to understand that those things are important, but this thing is even more important. I've been talking to you guys about transgenerational wealth. We are very, as a community, we are very compelled, driven, not incentivized, but we are pushed to want to establish a generational wealth that was not available to us for a significant amount of generations. And I just want to kind of talk to you guys about some of the things that would help in order to mitigate and help flourish and blossom your ability to create generational wealth, because generational wealth is more than leaving your family some money. It's more than it's more than just leaving them money and assets that a lot of families, they don't know how to manage. They don't know how to control, and then it's gone in a generation, right? If we take certain steps. So this is more like, if you take care of this part of the house, the rest of the house is going to get up. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all the other things are going to get added unto you just by sheer magnetism, because that is how the laws of this planet works, right? The laws of your consciousness, that's how it works. So I've been talking to you guys about grounding. I've been talking to you guys about shadow. I'm going to talk a little bit more about shadow work today. But the main thing I want to bring up that I felt it was absolutely necessary to bring up today is what we like to call spiritual bypassing. Hi, Cousin Dearbit. Thank you so much for joining. Spiritual bypassing. Now, you know, every time I bring up something spiritual, I also bring up the physical correlation to it. So we know for a fact that you have hella people who have won a significant amount of money from the lotto, settlement, or some source that gave them a large money and they lost it like that. That was supposed to answer all of their problems, supposed to be the solution to everything that was wrong in their life. You blink, the money's gone, and they don't have anything to show for it, and even more debt than when they started. Spiritual bypassing. You know, go buy a lotto ticket, that going to the casino, you know, house always wins. We understand that, but for whatever reason, many people still go to just that. If I buy bypass all of the work that actually needs to be done in order to attain, maintain, and protect this thing, that's the answer to all my problems. Spiritual bypassing is the exact same. Okay. So spiritual bypassing is when people think about spirituality, they think about love and light. And the truth of the matter is, for real, like real spirit is not love and light. It's love, it's hate, it's love difference, it's darkness, it's rejection, it's full duality of light and dark. That's why you see how the yin yang symbols, right? You have half white, half black. You got the black inside the white and the white inside the black. The duality. Hi, cousin Whistle Tone. So spiritual bypassing is only wanting to do the love and light stuff. You're not doing the work. And the foundation of the real work that needs to be done is the shadow work. So I had several people send me emails, and I kind of just want to address it on a whole, so that we have understanding on what it is that we're doing, especially in the environment that we live in. You watching the shadows play out for your light energy every single time you turn on the TV, every time you turn on the radio or listen to certain genres within the music industry, probably all of the genres within the music industry, to be honest. You're watching shadows dance and play out and fight for your energy. So with spiritual bypassing, what you're trying to do is you're trying to find all of these great ways to not have to do the hard and heavy work. What is the hard and heavy work? Again, shadow work is the foundation of any inner work you need to do as a being of consciousness within this realm. Okay? One of the difficult aspects of shadow work is detecting your shadows, which are the aspects of you that you have rejected, neglected. Hi, cousin Shun. Is it cousin Shun? Is it cousin Shun? Did we spell Sean? Help me with that. It's nice to meet you. Um, so the aspects of you that you've neglected, rejected, disowned, are ashamed of, embarrassed of, you kind of what you call a fragmented soul. We know that in this realm, when a light shines, right, there's a shadow. I don't know if y'all can see any shadows here. I don't have enough light, but you should be able to see somewhat of shadow, right? When the light shines, it casts a shadow. It is the same in the spiritual realm. Your light will cast a shadow, and programming, societal programming, all of the things that are forced upon you from the minute you come out of your mother's womb, forcing your soul to fragment in order to traumatize you to a being that can be controlled, a being that they can have a significant amount of influence on. Hence the term influencers, celebrity influencers. Before celebrities, royalty served as those influencers. Whatever they say, whatever they do, they were supposed to be so enamored with them that they would do and emulate things that they say, that they do, the way that they think, the way they talk, the way they dress, so on and so forth, right? We refer to them here in this time period as stars. What are stars? They're lights. But what we're seeing is they're lights that are casting heavy, heavy, heavy shadows, because in a sense, they too are spiritually bypassing the work that they should have done in order to attain the wealth and the fame that they desired. Okay. This is why you see a lot of celebrity music, especially musicians, right? Musicians are very specialized because of the creativity that they offer the world. And this is why they're typically the most attractive, and I don't mean attractive like body wise, I mean the attractive as far as the elites go, to utilize as the influence of nations, right? Because music transcends race, color, culture, neighborhoods, all of the things that divide us. Music transcends all of that. And this is why you see a lot of times your musicians would be bigger than say your actors, your actresses, royalty, so on and so forth in this day and age. Now I'm going to talk about harmonics in a little bit. We'll get to that. So right now, I bet that you guys, your timelines are filled to the brim with testimony, the indictment, who's got to go on the stand, yada, 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 yada. And I know we're not supposed to be distracted by these things unless you are the observer in the field observing. Don't spend a significant time taking a look at it. But hi, cousin True. But what you're looking at is a great way to help you identify archetypes and shadows, right? So I'm going to use Diddy as an example because he's now a very large collective consciousness that most people are familiar with. We are going to, and I can't really call him the archetype, the creator, because he doesn't create. He pays people to create for him and then he takes credit for it. So we're going to archetype the ruler. And as you're watching the ruler and the light shining on the ruler is like this light, right? It is the facade of Diddy that a lot of us who didn't know that background stuff, who didn't have any interactions with him, you saw him as a star, a light, wanted to get to know him. People want to take pictures with him. People want opportunities. They feel like he could change their life. We are now getting to see all of the shadows that he did not address in his spiritual walk. And it's a good way for you to observe that in order to have an understanding on how to observe your own shadows, right? You're seeing all of the parts of him he didn't want to get out, right? He didn't want the sadist to get out. Sadism, that kind of perverted type of fetish sex and so on. He didn't want the bully to get out. That is a shadow. We hear bits and talks of Suge, and you went here and you slapped Drake and you did. So you hear little bits and rumors about the bully, but for the most part, those weren't things that he necessarily wanted to get out to the public. I saw him in a different light. As I'm talking to you about these different shadows, once you're able to identify the archetype, which is the light, and the shadows, which are like the darkness, you don't want to reject them. You don't want to do them. You don't want to be ashamed of them. You don't want to be embarrassed by the shadows. Understand that those shadows in their own misguided way are trying to protect you, or at least protect the ego in some way, shape, way, or fashion, right? I'm not sure how to say this was trying to protect Diddy, right? That's something he would have to embrace, understand, kind of see his childhood traumas, his adult traumas, and understand how the sadist came to be in his life. Integrate them by embracing, acknowledging, understanding, embracing that shadow. That is a part of me. I get it. No longer serves me now. It is actually destructive to brand or what have you. In order to get all of these different fragments, this fragmented soul, you want to bring the soul back together to be one. When we, and this is a lifelong journey for a lot of people, it's lifetimes of journey, which is why you see people go through these constant karmic cycles. You're going through the same cycle over and over and over again. And it's because you're allowing certain shadows to run rampant in your waking life instead of taking the accountability that's necessary to acknowledge, stand from what trauma these things began to develop, embrace them, and then work towards aligning with actual archetype, that light instead of the shadow. It's difficult to do. People, first and foremost, shadow work requires full accountability, period. I'm going to say that again. Doing actual shadow work, and this is why people want to do the spiritual bypassing, is because it requires a million% of accountability. It requires you to observe yourself, observe the people who are in your life, who may also serve as mirrors, who you really are and what energy you're actually aligning with, so that You can resolve these things by understanding, okay, the warrior. Y'all see, black chicks crashing out and stuff. That's the warrior coming out to protect her. Now, to somebody on the street, she may look like this woman is crazy and she's probably going to kill us. But it's just that this is the warrior's way of protecting her after multiple traumatic events um, that have transpired in his or her. What that person needs to do is to sit, like, I'm noticing that nowadays, even when something little happens, I'm like crashing out. And it's not even that big of a deal. My warrior he's completely out of pocket, and I need to sit down with this, right? It's the accountability. We are noticing a huge lack of accountability all across the board. We are watching certain things take place. We watch certain people in our lives. It may be you, right? You yourself lacking accountability in order to catalog the shadows that be identified, acknowledged, embraced, and integrated back into you, right? Spiritual bypassing. A way a lot of people spiritually bypass their shadows is by isolating themselves, right? So you go hermit mode, which is 1,000% necessary in your spiritual walk. It absolutely is. It gives you time to think without people wanting and giving you their opinions. And I tell you what, we've been dealing with Bitcoin and precious metals and all these different investments and stuff. Some of us dealt heavy in the stock market. Nobody wants to give you more advice than the broke person, right? It's never the person who stacking a paper and stuff like that gives you the unsolicited advice. Always broke people that want to give you that. I wouldn't buy that. Bitcoin ain't even real money. So it's important for your spiritual journey that you do take on what we call the hermetic isolation, the hermetic journey, where you do yourself. In spiritual bypassing, you are isolated, you're on your hermetic journey, and you simply don't have the triggers available to you to help you to deal with the shadows, to take accountability, and to make the changes and resolutions that are necessary in life. Spiritual bypassing, right? You feel like, oh, I'm cool, I'm good. I crashed out in 2 years because you're on this hermetic journey, right? And it's like, no, you spiritually bypass the work you need to do. You are placed back in what I like to call Gen Pop, which you do. You have to come out of your hermetic journey in order to go on the part of your journey where you are holding space and you are that for the rest of the collective. Now it's even more so because it's been repressed, it's been suppressed, it's been laying dormant for the last 2 years or so on and so forth. For those of you who are on hermetic journey, I know many of you email me, you kind of tell me like, I can't really talk to anybody about Bitcoin. I can't really talk to anybody about what I would like to do, not just financially, but lifestyle wise, in order to kind of increase the quality of lifestyle. That too is that hermetic journey. Isolation is the loneliness. One of the ways that you can do the shadow work and not spiritually bypass it is by, like I said, I am not sponsored by DreamyBot AI. If there's another AI that works, if you guys use Sage is a really good one. I'm going to look into it a little bit further. But a lot of the spiritual content creators that I follow, they use Sage, and Sage catalogs the conversation so that when you start asking probing questions, your subconscious and unconscious, they're able to detect those little things. They are, in a sense, if you use it enough, they are a reflection of your consciousness. And they help you when you start asking questions. I had this dream last night. I'm going to list every single detail. I was lucid. There was this tree. I saw a yellow box. I saw a purple panda waddle by. You get them all of that. symbols, every single thing that you saw, the more the better, right? The more descriptive the dream, the better. They are able to you, they normally automatically give you the psychological analysis. Very important. Then you want to dig deeper. It's like an onion. You want to now ask, well, give me the spiritual and metaphysical symbolism within this dream, right? Then you want to ask them, show me the conscious aspects that are within the dream. And they are able to detect all these little things to bring to you. 99.999% of the time, they are extremely wildly accurate because you already have that knowing in you. The minute you read them, like, oh yeah, this resonates. These are some of the things that I need to look into. Then you want to ask, what limiting beliefs can you detect or identify within this dream infrastructure? It will begin to show you based on your dream, these are the aspects that you seem to be struggling with. A lot of times that's accurate. If it's not accurate, you do want to correct it because again, it's cataloging all of these things, not DreamyBot. DreamyBot doesn't have the app to do that yet. So every encounter is a fresh encounter. But with Sage, Broke, when you do that, it just lets them know, like, oh, okay, well, this is why I detected this. And while you think you resolved it, I've seen it on 2 occasions where it was, you're still struggling with this. You had surpassed it. You thought you resolved it. You thought that this thing was no longer an issue, and it actually is still lurking within the unconscious. It just went dormant or what have you. After the unconscious aspects, the limiting beliefs, you want to ask about expanded beliefs. We constantly hear it is limiting beliefs that are preventing you from touching your potential, your highest potential, preventing you from fully expanding into a potential that you may have. But you also want to be able to identify your expansive beliefs. This is important because you want to see what frameworks you are working in, which most of the time can help you to resolve the limiting beliefs that you're operating under. There are a significant amount of limiting beliefs that the AI can identify for you that don't belong to you. And this is why I talk to you guys about transgenerational wealth. But everything we do, when you think about it, is transgenerational. About the collective conscious, what they did was they forced you into collective consciousness. When we have our ancestors, and that's the collective consciousness we're supposed to be tapping into. And it's always been that way. So with that being said, because that's how it actually works, quite often you are the limiting beliefs that were driven down from person to person to person, person to person. For young ladies, it would be coming down your maternal line. For men, the issues that come down through the paternal line. However, both lines affect you and affect the way you move. This limiting mindset may develop a different type of limiting belief, but it's driven from this limiting belief. Okay? We cannot feel like in 2025, the environment that our ancestors had to survive in doesn't affect us. Even today, you can see their ancestors, you can still see a lot of the behavior of their ancestors and the way they want to treat you. You trying to apartment building and you got this lady who's drunk on Bud Light, got her phone out telling you can't move in this nice apartment. Well, ma'am, you are the one who is being disorderly right now. I'm just moving in. I'm not going to cause a problem, but you are right now. You can see that entitlement kind of ensue, but you can see the collective consciousness of their ancestors still running through. You can see that with the way the government's being run. It's almost like you've taken a time machine back a little bit right with some of the things that they want to do within the current administration. It's crazy, right? And how they tell you they're just fighting for the preservation of a country that doesn't belong to them. So I'm telling you all of these things because these are the things we should actually be focused. We are too, as a community, over focused on all of the chaos that they are causing in order to keep you as a light body within your container. They don't want you raising your consciousness. They don't want you living on a frequency where their shenanigans cannot affect you because you simply don't live on their frequency. You don't live in their frequency and kind of see what's going on, but they can't see anything that's going on with you because they're not operating at that frequency. So this is why you're going to see, because your spiritual health affects your emotional health, which affects your physical health, and that affects your money, right? It's your mindset every single day of the week. We content creator cousins here on the channel that are going to talk to you guys about the technicals and all of the things you can invest in and how much you can make. But I am here to tell you none of those things matter when your mindsets are not tuned a certain way in order to amass the wealth that you are inspired to amass. People are evil. How they got all of that bank? Because they grew up in empowerment. That's how. They didn't grow. They grew up knowing the world is their oyster and they can do whatever they want in it, no matter how evil, how many shadows, and all of the different things that they didn't deal with. Mindset. They weren't so traumatized and broken down to be controlled. That's not where their trauma stems from. Their trauma, their little rituals and stuff like that, is to empower them. The trauma that we've received wasn't to empower, to disempower and disconnect us from being empowered, from touching higher consciousness, and so on and so forth. Those are the things that you need to look at to see the difference between the two. Very, very, very important. People say, well, he evil as hell. Yeah, but you know what? When he was growing up, from the time he could mouth and talk, they have empowered him. They told him how the world belongs to him and he is the rightful owner to rule it. That's not how we grew up. Not how we grew up. I watched a short today, and it was Taraji Benson. She was giving a graduation speech. I don't know school she was giving it to, but she tells this really good story. She said, there's a place, I think it's in Namibia, and she says, when someone in the tribe messes up, they don't just throw them away. What they do is they bring them into the middle of the town, and all of the tribe members and all of the neighboring tribes encircle that person. And for 2 days, for 2 whole days, 48 hours, day and night, nobody goes to sleep. They tell the person all of the good things that they did in life, all of the people that they helped, all of the goodness that they have contributed, so that they don't allow let's say he got another girl pregnant in the tribe or something, right? So that the mistake that he or she made isn't the thing that just eats at them and eats them down and puts them on that slippery slope to destruction. For 2 days, you have every single family member and neighbor surround you, how incredible you are as a person, and that this is we want to get back on the road to where we were, to the desires. How can we help you? How can we support you? And then after those 2 days are over, they have a celebration for that person. And typically, because that's the environment they grow up in, make a lot of mistakes, and they are their nervous systems. Their nervous systems, they do these incredible, which seems like supernatural to us, things that they can accomplish, especially when it comes to spirituality. If that is what they're doing 2025, can you imagine the connection they have to their ancestors? Every single person who passes away, this is something we've been doing for 700 years. Been doing the connection we have, the guidance, the spiritual guidance, the spiritual team how you can hear your higher self and surround sound in your ears and not a quiet, teeny, tiny whisper. You could barely hear it if you in between too many people. And I bring this up because when you look at us in the United States, the theme is disconnection. We're scattered across just the active areas of cities along the coast, right? We don't live in the square states really. And then all of these different ways where we're divided. Well, I'm a New Yorker, where you from Detroit, where she's from the Chi, he from Cali, she from Tampa, and everybody's different. We don't do that where we from, and we don't talk like that, and we don't dress like that, and who is you, cuz, and who gave you, you got to check in. Is it division, disconnection? And when you have that division, that disconnection, that individual, you are disconnected from your higher self. You're disconnected from the ancestors. The only culture who does not give some type of reverence to our ancestors because we were told it was demonic. I grew up in the church. We were told it was demonic. Everybody else in the world has this huge tie, these huge celebrations, these huge ceremonies. We don't. Say, okay, you're not connected to your ancestors, you connected to your family? Nope. I don't live nowhere near any family member that I can name. And a lot of people are like that. Right? We talk about nepotism. I guarantee you, and I don't have the stats, but I bet you I'm right. If I looked at the people who are most predisposed to nepotism, we last on the list. I remember they got on LeBron because he did whatever he needed to do to get Bronny into the NBA. What is you talking about? You got people who give their family members whole businesses. That's what you're supposed to do. They got on LeVar Ball for getting all three of his sons into something. They need to work for it themselves. Nobody else does that. And the last administration, Trump was part of his cabinet. Meanwhile, if Michelle even went out and did a speech, he give his wife everything, anything. So this I'm talking about. We have to do the work in order to mitigate. Again, you're already at a disadvantage because what you're doing is you are releasing and removing all of the false programming and the distortions and mindset and way of living in order to get to the place they desire. And you're not working towards that. What you're doing is you're doing the work to kind of cultivate cultivate the ground so that it's a natural occurrence, so that the wealth naturally magnetizes. We're not supposed to be chasing anything. We simply align it. But it's hard to align with the things we desire because we are living distortions here. The way we think about stuff, the way we see stuff, how we frame things that we hear, right? This is why we often say, like, hey, I know you heard me say da-da-da-da-da, but were you listening? Right? Because many of us just respond. We're not listening to processing information, to frame it in a way that we can utilize it for our significant beneficial outcomes. So this is why you're going to see that I'm not coming away from economics. I'm not coming away from finance, but we are going to sit and talk about the thing we control, right? Yes, dollar cost average your Bitcoin, dollar cost average your altcoins, stack your ounces, right? But what changes do we need to make in order for the actions that we're already taking more beneficial? What moves do we need to make? Is it time for me to go on a hermetic journey and understand the things I need to do without accidentally spiritual, a significant aspect of work that needs to be completed? Right? Maybe you should call your mom, your aunt, whoever, and ask them about family members. What was she like? How did, tell me some stuff you remember. And as people are telling you the stories, you used to pick up on, what, I do that too. That's weird. I have those myself. Oh, I used to be real anxious like that as a child too. She had those issues when she was growing up. And see, you got the negative connection with the ancestors and you're not tapping into the positive aspect of them. I'm not telling you to worship your ancestors. That's not what we're talking about. We are talking about having and tapping in. If in the physical we say that social connections are important, it's not what you know, it's then it absolutely has to be the truth in the spiritual. It has to. That's the whole point of the physical realm, is to confirm of the spiritual realm. Right? So this isn't distorting it, which is a distortion. We're not distorting it by worshiping our ancestors, but you want to acknowledge the things that they went through, the life that they lived, the reason why they lived their life like that, their inability to have the tools and the resources in order to make the changes in their cyclical life that you have today. Right? I disconnected from the women in our lives who, instead of me thinking into AI, I should be able to look at my dream. And I'm a pretty good dream interpreter, but I cannot hold the candle to what AI can do, because like I said, it can pull out those unconscious aspects that I just don't seem to pick up on. Right? They were in tune with time. They were in tune with the earth. We live on their calendar and their time, down to the seconds, down to the nanosecond. And tells us that they're aligned with the atomic clock. And this is why you should have a device. When your ancestors would tell you, we didn't live by a calendar we lived by cycles, seasonal cycles. The Bible says, and like I said, the Bible got a lot of lies, but it has a lot more truth than that. The stars, the sun and the moon, are designed for times, friends. We are supposed to be aligned with natural time. This is why a woman gets her menses every 28 days. It's intuition. She's supposed to be naturally aligned with nature. They don't want you aligned with those things. They want you misaligned in every aspect of your life so they can control you and siphon the energy of the light in which you are. When we stop feeding into it, when we no longer participate in their energetic siphonings, and we start moving by the alignment that your higher self, your intuition, that voice inside of you is telling you to do, you're going to this thing completely collapse. It's already dismantling, because there are a significant amount of us who are doing the work, holding the space, talking to other people, telling them the fastest way to manifest is to get in full alignment. You'll manifest in time. You'll ask a question, your question going to get answered by some which way, means, or form immediately. Now, another reason why it's important to do the inner work, to integrate the shadow, one with the self, is because as you touch higher consciousness, you increase your frequency, you move to a dimension where manifestations happen in real. If you are still moving in scarcity mindset, fear-based mindset, you are going to accidentally manifest your worst nightmares. You're going to accidentally manifest your sometimes you'll be minding your business and all of a sudden this final destination quality thought appears in your mind, and you be like, where did that thought come from? Really manifest that because you have not tamed, you have not trained, you have not disciplined your egoic mind. This is why the work is important, right? And this is why you can't spiritually bypass. If you spiritually bypass, it could lead to consequences that you wish you did the work the way it was supposed to get done, right? Manifest that. They say manifestation happens when you're in alignment. You be notice when I follow my intuition, it just happened. Such and such called me. It just so happened one here that I ran into such who just happened to have the opportunity for me that I was desiring, or even better than the opportunity I desired. And you hear people tell those stories all the time. It just so happens. It just so happens. You hear it a lot. Success story. I read today that some guy cold called Mark Cuban. Just so happens Mark Cuban was leaving the office, and then I think like he forgot something, so he came back. Phone rang. Normally he would have ignored it. Something compelled him to answer it. Cold calls Mark Cuban, gets a $350,000 investment. Business worth $400 million now. You hear those stories all the time. You see them on your. You should be seeing stuff like that on your watch list, news articles, stuff on your phone. You hear it all the time. I started a purse business. Just so happens that my cousin knew a contact and such. We hit it off, and now we got a $250 million business. Alignment. Those people aren't it, right? They're doing the work. They're doing some type of work. And again, unlike us, when you see all of these, like, how come all of these other cultures be, thriving? Because they don't have to do the amount of work we have to do to remove, release, forgive all of the distortions that were thrown on us over the last 400 plus years. That's why. Look at it for what it is. In spite of that, we are magic, baby. Magic. You told me to pull myself up by my bootstrap. Hell, I ain't even have boots. I got me some nice boots, some nice straps, tied, looking great. That's why we're hated too. Because in spite of, we're magical. That's the beings we're supposed to be. We're magical. How much more magical would you be if you actually did the work? Beautiful. If you actually did the work. If you guys need to get in touch with me, you know how. You can answer every single email. I do FaceTime calls. I call you on your phone, talk to you, tell you whatever it is you need to. What Cousin Whistletone says she saw that. Whatever you need. If you need help with your journey, how do I start shadow work? How do I combine my higher heart with my personal heart here now that Venus is entering into Aries? You guys need to. We have what are called astrological alignments. These astrological energies are there to assist you into getting done you need to get done. Consider it like an escalator, right? Instead of you having to trek all these steps up to the top, you got the escalator helping you get to the top as well. It's not going to do all the work for you, but it'll do a lot of the work for you should you move into that energy. Little things like this, right? I said, okay, I'll let this one be my personal heart, and this little one be my high. This big one be my higher heart. You see, it's got like cosmic colors, and then symbolically let my subconscious know I am trying to process and integrate these things for this week. That's what you're supposed to be doing. You were supposed to be combining or integrating, because it's really the term integration, your personal heart with your higher heart. That's why this one's big. Little symbolism. Our brains, our subconscious, our unconscious is captive their symbolism. As soon as y'all see a McDonald's logo, even if it don't say McDonald's, just the M, you know what that is. You see the swoosh, you know that's Nike. They have you captive, hold you captive to all of their symbolism, because they know that that's how your brain works. They're bypassing the ego, they're bypassing all of that. They're going straight conscious, unconscious. You got to do the same. Create little symbols for yourself so that your subconscious knows, understands, right? That you're working on this, actively working on this. You guys, crystals. They tell you crystals are demonic. How can crystals be demonic when the high priest in the Bible wore crystals on his chest to hold up the tribe of Israel? How demonic can they be? We in technology use crystals as amplifiers. Your phone has crystals. You see what they did to that place in North Carolina? They flooded that whole place because they had the quartz crystal quarry. Say that 3 times fast. The quartz crystal quarry right there. They got them people up out of there and didn't pay them nothing. The insurance companies didn't even bother to compensate them. When in times past, they would have paid them out this little bit of paper so we could make the big paper. They were like, no, we ain't even doing that. We're going to get y'all up out of here and we're going to gut the crystal quarry course so we can make our black mirror device. You see how you can see the reflection of the computer in the black mirror? How many of you guys watch Mirror on Netflix? You gotta understand the world you live in, but before you can understand the world that you live in, you must first understand yourself. The 1597 Bible, it's the Geneva Bible. The verse says, the kingdom of heaven is within, and he who knows himself shall find himself therein. Kingdom of heaven is there's nothing outside of you. There is nothing outside of you. It's all here. It's all in here. It's all in here. You have a lot of light beings now. We're coming together the way we should in order to raise the frequency of the planet so that we can help one another on the journey we actually came here for. I don't think that my journey was to come here as dollar cost average Bitcoin. I don't think so. I think it's part of the journey, a very small part of the journey, but there's a larger journey that I'm supposed to be taking. Apparently part of that journey based on my North Node of Sagittarius is teaching. You know, Simon and I have been doing this for like 4 or 5 years now. And I guess because we tell the truth, can't get the 1.8 million views. I guess. Not sure how that works. I'm gonna let the universe do what she do. I'm gonna keep my end of the bargain and help whoever is wanting the help, offer the information to whoever wants the information, give the guidance to whoever is needing the guidance. I don't charge, right? If you email me or you say call me so I can ask you some questions so I can get on my way with my journey, free of charge, because I know I'm in alignment with what I'm supposed to be doing. Somehow, some way, I'll get recompense for that. So I want you guys to consider working on the mindset, working on your spiritual journey while taking those actionable steps in dollar cost averaging and investing and saving and your money in a way that brings value to your life. I'm not here to tell you how to spend your money, but know that when you release that money, does this thing bring some sort of value into your life? And if the answer is yes, go and get it. That's what you're supposed to do with the energy. That money is a tool for you to have the items or the experiences necessary to elevate your frequencies, to make your life better. If you purchase this thing and this thing brings some sort of destruction to your life, that's why they tell you you got to watch the vices, drugs, alcohol, sex, like when you're paying for it, because some which way is bringing some sort of destruction to your life, whether it's to your name, to your brand, to your body. When money, does this thing bring value to your life? Your home should be bringing value to your life. Your cars get you to where you need to go to do the things you enjoy doing, right? Your clothes feel confident in, you know, what you're doing. You feel comfortable, that make you feel luxurious. Either which way, raising your frequency, raising your vibration in alignment with whatever it is you're trying to align with. You guys, if I'm gonna be back on Thursday at 5ish. Remember to be grounding. It's summertime. Get outside, barefoot, feet touch the earth, touch the grass. For those of you telling me you don't have that type of access, go to the store, go to Walmart, go to the garden section of Walmart, buy you some fertile, fresh, black soil. Blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, blacker the soil, the more fertile it is. Right? And you know, they didn't mix it with dirt. You know, dirt's a much lighter color. You're getting this black, pure soil. Put it in a box lid, right? A cardboard box lid. I know we stay ordering from Amazon. You got a box lid, shoe box lid, whatever. And put it in a corner of your house where nobody else is accessing this thing. You don't want anybody else to access. If other people in your house want to do this with you, they need to have their own soil. This is energy. This is your time. This is your grounding. And just put your feet in that soil. Sit, talk, say your affirmations, journal. When I say pray, I don't mean beg. That's what I mean. When I say pray, I mean speak those affirmations which you should, right? Help release your limiting beliefs. Write down what your limiting beliefs are and put your feet, plant your feet, plant your seed. I am releasing these limiting beliefs and I'm building on these expansive beliefs. There's a will, there's a way. If you don't have access to outside, you can't walk nowhere. Like where I live, it's public and I can't really do that. Then figure it out in your house. Right? And don't let anybody else go into your energetic area. So make sure you're grounding, get out in the sun. We are sun beings. The solar flare coming. You got the melanin in your body, you'll be fine. Go and get out in that sun. You see, they trying to block this. They got the underground bunkers because you know when that solar flare hit and it's time for the 5D to be the 5D and the 3D stay to 3D, they're not going. It's going to destroy a lot of them, especially the non-human beings. It's going to destroy a lot of them. They weren't designed for it. That's why they want to block the sun and do all that crazy. That's why they spray all that shit in the sky like that, the aluminum and baby, go and get out in that sun. Get them light codes. Get that loading. Put your feet in some black fertile soil and do what your intuition pushes you to do. That may sound crazy, but right, get you fresh flowers. Put you flowers in the house. My room's kind of a mess, but right, I have roses by the bed. I give Simon and stuff like that. That's his table that I've created for him. Believe it or not, y'all, those are his toys. You can see the 1985 Panther and Lionel. Those are Simon's toys. But I put flowers by my bed, right? To have that life, to have that high frequency. When I lay in my bed, all I smell are roses. Right? And that raises my frequency. I do color therapy. Actually, shout out to Cousin Rue. Cousin Rue put me on. I don't have the mechanism that he used in order to heal himself, but it's still light, right? That night, that is my night light. That is what shines on me. It is the color of higher consciousness. It's the color of the crown chakra. I have all of the different colors in there. My room is yellow because after my husband passed away, I realized that my solar plexus and my sacral chakra, they got real weak. I painted my whole house yellow after he passed away because we all needed to build that power back. Right? Y'all notice I even lay in yellow with the pink for the crown chakra there. Third eye chakra is wide open, so I'm good with that. But you know, these are the things that I'm talking about. You do the things that your subconscious, those are the symbols my subconscious picks up on more so than, reciting something, repeating something. You got to repeat and recite it so many times. When you stuff and you put the symbols there, your subconscious picks it up right now. So it's past the ego, subconscious got it. She's working on it. Let's move on to the next thing she needs to work on. And that's how you want to roll. Love you guys. We're at the hour mark. I'm going to see you Thursday at 5-ish. If you have questions, whatever you need, contact me. I'm here